let's start back in Texas. Grew up in Galveston, Texas. You have a ranch now, is that right? What kind of, like, are you taking care of things on the ranch? Like, you have animals and?
I do have animals, and I do have a caretaker, ranch manager who lives out there full time and kind of runs the operation for me.
Did you grow up in a ranch?
I did not. I grew up in the suburbs of, near Houston, but I've always my dad grew up on a farm, and it's it's in our family, and I've enjoyed that lifestyle.
You live not too far from Trent Grisham, right?
Yes.
How did you guys become friends? Because you worked out this last off season.
We've worked out like 5 or 6 off seasons in a row. So yeah, I knew him. I knew him before I became a Padre. So, and he played high school baseball against my dad. My dad's a high school baseball coach, so his team played against him, and so I've just known him for years.
Okay, so your dad was your high school baseball coach, right? And so you really kind of learned everything about the game from him initially, right?
I did, yeah. I mean, grew up around the field, going to the field all the time with him, and he taught me everything. Kind of got me to fall in love with the game. So, yeah.
Do you still? Because sometimes that can be hard in a relationship. Like, will you hear from him? Like, will he give you advice? Is there like a thing?
No, I mean, he's been really good about like kind of as I've gone on in my career, just kind of letting me play. I mean, he's there to bounce ideas off of, but it's usually comes from me. He never really kind of steps over that. It's been great.
He doesn't like dissect every plate appearance after it's done. Okay. All right. You were great in high school, right? Very accomplished in high school. You get recruited by TCU. I read about how you guys won the Mountain West Championship, right, your sophomore year, but it wasn't always easy for you, right? Like you gained some weight, your grades dropped, you had Tommy John surgery your junior year. How was that time for you overall, and how did you turn things around?
Yeah, I was the kid who just didn't adjust to college very well. First time out of the house without your parents, and just had a little too much fun at the beginning, and didn't really take care of my schoolwork and my body and stuff that I needed to be doing. I always tell people I really wasn't I wouldn't say I was like this big troublemaker. I just really lacked a lot of discipline and focus as a younger guy, and it really what kind of opened my eyes to the whole thing was as a junior. I'm a junior in college now. I'm out of shape. I'm not in good baseball shape, and I ended up having Tommy John surgery. Missed the whole season, and all my buddies and guys that I had come to school with were getting drafted and going on to play pro ball, and I was like, man, if I'm gonna be what I think, take this job serious and want to become a professional baseball player, I got to make some changes. So. That's kind of how it started.
You worked hard, but you were 23 when you left college, and you didn't really think you were going to get drafted, right? Like, you didn't even know you got drafted.
Right, yeah. I mean, the goal was to, I wanted to play professional baseball, but at this point, I hadn't had any conversations with scouts, or I didn't have an agent, and I had no conversations headed into my last game of my college career. When I played it, I figured that I'd just played my last game, and thankfully, the St. Louis Cardinals ended up giving me a chance and tried to make the most of it.
Did your aunt call you and tell you that you were drafted or something like that?
She did, yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I was, packing up my college home and preparing for what the potential next step would be. And I had the draft on, but my internet, I guess, was slower than hers, so she found out before I did.
Had you thought about what your next chapter would be, like what career you might go into?
I did. I mean, I would stick in baseball. I probably would have tried to, seen what would have happened with college coaching or something.
All right, Torrey Hunter, big influence on you, right? Like in terms of after you were drafted, Cardinals picked you up in terms of you getting really your baseball feet under you in the majors, right? Or in a professional sense.
Yeah, I mean, Torrey, it started with my dad coached both of Torrey's sons at Prosper High School down in Dallas, Texas. And what really, how the whole thing started is that we showed up to the field one day and Torrey was coming up there to hit. And, my dad introduced us, said, hey, this is my son Matt. He's, just signed professionally to play with the St. Louis Cardinals. I had not been to spring training yet. I have yet to show up. And he was gracious enough to kind of take me under his wing and was like, hey, you need to come start working out with us, hitting with us. And, man, I spent the next 2 or 3 off seasons, kind of following him around, and had a huge impact on my career.
How big is that now for you when you work with younger kids?
It's huge. I mean, I look back at the way he treated me as a, at this point in his career, he was 10 years in the major leagues, multiple all-star games, he Gold Glover, one of the superstars of our game. And I was some nobody at a 13th round, 5th-year senior at a TCU who had never played an inning of professional baseball, and he treated me like we were equals. And So I've had so much respect for that, and I try to model that same kind of, philosophy.
That's so cool. All right, so this kid who really didn't think he was going to get drafted, went through all of that, goes on to 3-time All-Star, Silver Slugger, in the MVP conversation. This is your 13th year, which I think is always so phenomenal. Like, to have longevity in this league is insane, Do you ever look back and be like, okay, that journey, from that who I was back then to who I am now, it's pretty remarkable.
I do. I mean, I still pinch myself sometimes. I mean, to be sitting here, I really try not to take it for granted. I mean, this is a game that, I've thought I've played my last one, a handful of times. I thought I did it in 2021. I thought I did it in, 2009 when I first played my last college game. So I don't try to take any of this for granted. I'm super humbled and blessed to have this opportunity, and I try to make the most of it every day.
Your first year in the majors, I believe you played 7 games, and then that team went on to win the World Series. You weren't part of the team during that. Were you there, or were you back in the minors?
No, yeah. I did, just like everybody that, participates during the year, gets a World Series ring, and I do have one of those, and was part of the whole, maybe made my major league debut that year, was part of the team, did not make the postseason roster and wasn't there, so but still, it's still a pretty cool year.
It's amazing. And then you go on, and like every year after that, now you're playing with the Cardinals, and you guys go to the postseason, or you're going to the World Series. You're surrounded by amazing veterans, Yachty, Wainwright. Like, how did that shape you and what you think a baseball season is like at a young age?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, the kind of veteran leadership that we had there, and future Hall of Famers and guys like him and Yachty and Albert, and the list goes on. They had a huge impact on me. I mean, when you're around those kind of guys, you kind of see what it's like to, what it really means to be a true pro, and those guys embody it. So definitely a great place to come up as a young player.
Well, you spent 11 years with the Cardinals. Did you think at one point that you would retire with them, that'd be your only organization, and was it difficult when that chapter came to an end?
Yeah, I mean, you certainly, when you are there for as long as I am, you start to think that this is where your only place you're going to play. I didn't foresee myself playing anywhere else, but, things have a funny way of working itself out. I mean, I didn't perform great towards the end, and, they ended up, making a move, and, I was able to kind of resurrect my career, and it took me to New York last year and now here, and, I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason. I've got this great opportunity now in San Diego to be a part of such a great team and a great group of guys that are after a World Series title, and, for the first one in this franchise's history, which would be pretty cool to be a part of.
Before New York, you stopped in the Rangers organization, right? You didn't make that team out of spring training, but when you were with them in AAA and you asked for your release, you had a moment where you told your family, hey, come watch me play. This might be my last game. What was that period of your life like, and what did you kind of come to terms with?
Yeah, I mean, I really thought that was it. I had made the phone call to, my wife, to my mom and dad, and to, a few other people, brother, and wanted them to know, because I have such great family support. They've been through everything with me, and I wanted them to know that this is where my head was. I thought that this might be it, and it was a bittersweet day, but I was at peace with it. I really felt like I had given it my best shot. I played well while I was down there. It didn't work out. It is what it is, kind of mentality, and went home with my family after that game, and my wife and I and our 2 kids went out and celebrated our daughter's birthday, and just kind of started to kind of wrap our head around what this next phase of life was going to be. And I get a phone call from the GM of the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman. I was on the lineup like a day later.
What was it like to put on those pinstripes and to go out there and play for the New York Yankees?
It's a special place. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, as a baseball fan or anybody that follows this game, they know what kind of organization, what they mean to the sport, and some of the history that's there. The guys who put on that uniform, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, I mean, these just iconic names. You feel it, you certainly can feel the mystique about it. It was a great experience, something I'll never forget.
Have you ever been country line dancing?
No, but I know where this is going.
Have you seen that video?
Yes, I have. The guy with the mustache.
Is this you?
It looks like me. Hey, it's pretty close.
Okay, people were calling into like local radio stations here after the Mexico trip, because it will kind of resurrect itself every once in a while. Yeah. And they thought you had gone out, and people really think it's you. Like, do you get that a lot?
Yeah, no, I've had a lot of people say it. It looks like me. It started in New York. I saw it the first time in New York. But it's not me, people. It's not me.
Pretty funny though. Okay, the salsa, I want to get into that a little bit. Do you still make that salsa that you were making during the time with the Cardinals when it was like legendary, right?
I do, yeah. It's a family recipe for sure.
So during that time, it was kind of like a good luck thing. Like you guys would all eat it in the clubhouse. You'd bring it to the clubhouse and make it for the guys.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I make it like it wasn't abnormal by any means of me making it, and I just happened to make it and post it on my Instagram story, coinciding with a time that I was just swinging the bat really well. I was in Wrigley Field, hit a bunch of homers in a series, and the fans just kind of ran with it, and I started making it and started hitting a lot of homers, and it just became a thing.
They made like T-shirts. They made like it was a whole thing. Yeah.
It became a big thing.
Do you still cook?
I do. I love to cook. It's my second passion.
What's your big recipe?
Oof. I'm a smoker guy. Like I do barbecue on the grill, all that kind of stuff.
Matt, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. One day we're gonna have to all try the salsa and give it a little taste test.
All right. Thank you.